Alright everybody, welcome back to the Antique Geek Garage. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of advice and how I would go about doing a Dinkleball hone and every little step that goes with it. Without further ado, let's just jump right into this thing because I need to get this engine on soon anyway, and I'm going to give you a little bit of everything you need to do. Welcome back. Okay, so before we get into this, I do want to point out that I'm not a certified mechanic in any way, shape, or form. I do this as a hobby, but I have done quite a bit of research, so I'm going to be doing this on my personal engine. This is going in my Camaro, and you'll get to see how it performs, like, for real. So this car is sticking around, so you'll actually get later results here within about a week or two, and you can see how this thing actually performs. But until that time, let's jump right into this, and let's start with cylinders. So this is a Chevy 305 small block Gen 1. It's around 76-ish era. It's out of an 83 Camaro, but it wasn't the factory engine. So the chassis number on this is 85. Hold on, I can't even read it. 855909. Yes. So it's a small block 305. And so that means your bore, which is the width of each cylinder. Now, in a 305, your bore is a 3.736 inch bore, which when you're looking for a hone, you're typing it into Amazon per se, which is where I bought this one here. It was a 95 millimeter hone. So 95 millimeter is what I bought, and that is for a 3.736 inch bore, which is factory 305. 350 is a 4-inch bore exactly, which is I think 105 or 100. Yeah, I think it's 105 millimeters. Don't quote me. Look that up. And you need to get basically your stock size for what you're going to use here. Then, what grit are you going to get? So, I'm going to be putting cast iron rings in this engine. So, for cast iron rings, I did end up going with a 240 grit hone. I definitely, if I would recommend, I'd recommend 180. 180 is about perfect for cast iron, but 240, if you have pretty good cylinders to begin with, is fine. That's great. And then if you want to do molly rings, you have to do 2-step hone, which is a 240 grit, and then a 400 grit. I couldn't even find a 400 grit hone for 95 millimeters. That was easily accessible. I have a set of molly rings right here. This is a brand new set of molly rings from Engine Tech for this engine, and I'm not going to use them because I don't have a 400 grit hone. Trust me, it's something that you're going to want to pay attention to and know before you're putting your engine together. So make sure you know exactly what style rings you're putting in. Once you have all that figured out, you get your flex hone. You're going to need to do your first step, which is pre-lube it up. Okay, so this one, since it's brand new, first thing you're going to want to do, I actually started soaking this about 2 minutes ago, is get it starting to soak. Like, you want every single surface on this hone to be covered in oil or some for lubricant. I don't even recommend the official, honing oil just because of how expensive it is. You'll get 10W30. It's perfect. It's actually still recommended by a lot of manufacturers for these things. So 10W30. I just got some the other day. I just bought 1 quart, and oil and lubrication of any type, really, spit, baby blaster, water. No, I'm just kidding. Use anything like a 10W30, and you are going to need as much as you can possibly fit into this engine. If you don't, you're going to get some scarring, and you don't want to see that. And that's another thing we're going to talk about here is why should and when should you use a Dinkleball hone. So Dinkleball hone is perfect for if you have just very, very light vertical scars, right? So excessively light scarring going up the top, no grooves, can't even hardly feel it if you're using your fingernail or anything like that. That's what this is going to fix. If you have actual damage that you can feel with your fingers and it's major, bad, this is not going to fix it. And the second thing is, if you're using one of these, you have to put the piston that it came out of back in that same spot. So I'm putting brand new rings on. I'm getting a new set of cast rings, like I said, but I'm keeping factory pistons. And that's important because as your cylinders wear, they have a waffle effect is what it's called. So your cylinder, as it should be straight, and true the whole way, it'll kind of bow out just like you will never be able to see it as you have one of those machine things, I don't know, science things, and it's actually going to bow out the center of your cylinder a little bit more than the top and the bottom of your cylinder. So that's why it is very important to put the original piston that came out of this cylinder back in here. Chevy, it's easy. Groove it, use a roofing nail, or get a metal thing, just scrape in each piston head what cylinder it came out of. Chevy, it's easy. Starts over here with 1, 3, 5, 7, and then 2, 4, 6, 8. Ford, good luck. Mopar, I don't even know. So yeah, you'll figure it out and just mark them all. And that's very important because your piston will kind of form so that they wear together. So that's something to keep note of. So make sure you do that before you tear this down. And that goes for every single thing that you tear out of this engine. If it's not going to be replaced, put it back exactly where it came from, how it came, or else you're going to have some issues. If you have a bearing in a wrong spot, it's not going to be the right size. It might be worn differently on a different cylinder. You're going to have a bigger gap. It's going to spin a bearing. Then you're going to have some bigger problems, right? So that's why it's important to do all that. But anyway, after you have all that done, you're going to need a drill, right? I'm like extremely certain that this drill is legit older than me. Like, that's not a joke. I am very certain that this drill is older than me, actually. And it still works. You want to be, I think the official factory recommendation is between 500 and 800 RPMs, but I mean, I ain't freaking running a tachometer when I'm moving this thing. I'll show you. The best way to learn is for you to really like watch it happen, which is why I'm going to do this video, right? You're going to see how fast this is going to be spinning. I'm going to use a corded drill. I would recommend a corded drill. You can use a cordless one. Just make sure that it's at full battery, and in between, if you're starting to run the battery low even a little bit, you charge it in between, because you need to have consistency. You have to have, no matter what you do on each one of these cylinders, you have to be consistent, unless of course there's a big fault. Other than that, you want to stay consistent across the board. You don't want to have any that are more honed or less honed or anything like that. I'm also going to be doing exactly, I believe, 20 motion. So 20 up and down strokes. 20 like this. I'm going to count 1, 2, all the way up to 20, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to check and make sure it's all good. And if it's all good, I'm going to show you how to clean it and move on to the next cylinder and everything. And yes, that's the drill. Like I said, I'm going to use this old DeWalt, which is probably like 703 years old, I think. Pretty sure. It's the warranty says, copyright claim on it. So yeah, with that, we are going to be getting started. I'm going to set a couple things up. I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer, and I'm going to show you exactly how I go about doing this. And yeah. So I'm going to show you a little bit here beforehand what these cylinders are looking like. And as you can see, the cross-hatching is still there, and it's actually not too bad. There's a little bit of flash rusting on this engine, and this did sit for 7 years before I had touched it. So getting all these cylinders touched up before I throw it all back together is just it's a cheap and very easy thing to do. And trust me, it's not intimidating. It seems like a lot of stuff to remember, but trust me, when you see how it all works, it's so much easier than you're actually thinking. So let's just get into this, and we'll start right away with cleaning these cylinders up, and then we'll start honing each one. Here's the oil I chose. I chose this for a very specific reason, and that was that this oil right here is the cheapest one you can buy in Walmart. So I'd use it. And then I got myself some CarQuest brake parts, or Limpiador para Piezas di Frenzo. Parts cleaner, basically. And I'll grab a dirty used shop rag, and I'm going to go over these once with this, and then I'm going to grab a clean rag and make sure that these are actually clean. Okay, so that was actually the second time that I've wiped those cylinders down. I did it once before I started filming. But next up, we're going to get this in the drill, oil it up. We're going to oil up, clean the cylinder just one more time, and then we're going to oil it up, and we'll start honing. Who invented these drills with the key things? I mean, they keep stuff in them, but man, is that annoying. Alright, so once you get your hone in here, once again, I'm just going to grab some extra. Well, I'm going to clean out the cylinder one more time, actually, before. Just put a little bit of extra on here right before we go in the cylinder. That's the whole way across the board. And then I'm going to take this oil here, make a dam with your hands. Pour some in and just get her all the way around. Just don't be afraid to use it now. You paid the $4, right? Alright. Once you get your cylinder completely oiled up, you want to get your drill ready. Before you even enter, it is very important that your drill is spinning before it goes in, right? That's very important. And then as it goes in, you're going to want to go about this right here 20 times. And you're going to see kind of how fast this drill goes. And yeah, let's just do it. Make sure that it's spinning as you come out as well. So spinning going in, spinning going out. Get some brake cleaning, clean it up, and we'll take a look at her. And one more thing, don't forget, this is more of a brushing process than a drilling process. You're not trying to make your cylinders bigger per se, you're just trying to resurface them, right? So keep that in mind, just as a general, think about that as you're doing this. I mean, that is basically all there is to it. As you can see, beautiful 45-degree cross-hatching there. Right in them cylinders. I'm going to do the other. This drill actually lost a lot more power than I thought it would when I was in there. So I had to go full throttle. It was a tickle slower than what I would recommend. But just to give you a general idea for speed there, I'm going to do 7 other cylinders. And then we'll wrap this up and I'll show you what they all look like. So I'm going to do, this is the second to last cylinder actually. We're going to build up the dam with our hand there. You really can't use too much oil. If you can use too much oil, buddy, you give me a prize, or you get, I don't know, yeah, give me a prize if you get too much oil in here. Don't be afraid. You're not going to use too much. Don't worry. And then, do make sure that you clean this off. Get like a bucket. Clean this off between every single time you hone, because you're literally putting used material, used engine material right onto the end of this thing. You don't want to be just rubbing that right into each cylinder that you do. So make sure you clean this in between each cylinder. Got her all oiled up again. Cylinders oiled, and remember, spinning before you enter, spinning as you pull out, and then I'll just give you the speed here 20 times the whole way down. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And make sure you take note of that as you pull it out. You got to be at wide open, because that's important to pulling it out, or else you're going to get vertical scars. So don't forget about that as you're pulling out 20 times, and then all that material comes off. It looks like a lot. It's really not. Grab yourself a rag. I'm going to clean. Right now I'm just wiping all these down first. And then I'll brake clean all of this. And it's just going to sit for probably 3 more days before it actually get my new rings, because I had to order cast rings, come in. I think 3 days. I am going to put on a fresh coat of 10W30 on all the cylinder walls and head surfaces before it goes back together, just so that I don't get any flash rusting on this newly exposed metal. So do make sure you do that. Even if it's for more than literally a night, you have to put some oil on it, or you're going to get flash rusting. So I'm going to finish up this last one, and I'll show you how I prepare it. And yeah, then I'll show you the results on every cylinder, because it's turned out pretty good so far. These all look really good. Awesome. I used up so many towels in this. It's ridiculous. You aren't even like that, like super bad either. But, oh well. Well, as you can see here, all 8 cylinders have been done. They look amazing. So take a look at the before. And now after, they are looking great. You're looking for a 45-degree cross-hatching in each one of your cylinders, which is kind of the X pattern almost created by that new hone. It's looking great. And let's wrap this up. All right, so this is the end of it. I mean, it's that simple. Trust me, don't be intimidated by it. I don't know if you would have ever guessed this. That was my first time ever doing this, and it turned out exactly how I'd expected. I have watched a lot of people do it. I've watched it in person. I've watched YouTube videos. I've done my research, so I would recommend doing, I'd say my advice is credible, but just keep that in mind that I'm not certified. Um, it turned out great. And if you want to see how this actually performs, if it holds up, if it holds well with cast iron rings, there will be a video coming out here soon, hopefully within 2 weeks. And this engine will be put back together. It's gonna go over everything in depth even more, including new bearings. This segment, a little bit of a segment of honing, is going to be in that video actually, from this video into that video. All new bearings, a new cam, new lifters. I'm putting on HO heads, painting it up, making it look beautiful to go back in my dream car. So stick around for that if you are interested. And like I said, I need to get that done here soon, and this is one of the big steps. I would actually be throwing everything, like the whole bottom end, in tonight if I had the right rings. But like I said, I bought Molly. Well, the Molly rings came with my bearings, and it was an on sale deal. And I have another 305 sitting right there, so I figured I'll buy these. Find a 400 grit hone, and I'll do that engine, and I'll sell that one. But until then, this one is going to be put on back burner for a couple days. Like I said, even if you're just leaving it for like more than a night, put some oil down in these cylinders to keep them from flash rusting. I'm going to put some 1030 across everything here. And I'm going to paint this block tonight, so I got to get to that. Thank all of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I will respond to them, or any advice or tips. I'll get back to you on that. And I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day. It's another one in the books.